everybody. We're going to get started here. My name is Rachelle Myer, and we are going to talk today about optimizing mindset for profitable regenerative grazing and soil health. This is my husband Jordan, and we farm with our 7 kids in southeast Minnesota, and we have a conventional dairy farm. We milk 160 cows. We graze dairy heifers and dry cows. We manage row crops on 400 acres. About 80%, about 90% of that is no-till. Corn, soybeans, barley, oats, alfalfa. We do some annual warm, cool season mixes, and we interseed corn. We've done a little bit of that, some 60-inch and 30-inch, and then we also do cereal rye.
That's our family there. We got Ashton on the left, Natalie, myself, April, Cade below me, Gabe, Lane, and Rachelle. And Layla. Yeah, we do goats. We got a leasing program. We lease them to other grazers to go do recreational work for individuals as well as government work. That's the brush management part of it. We sell genetics, and we also do a little bit of meat sales. We direct market 100% grass-fed A2 raw milk, grass-fed beef, pastured pork and poultry. And then we really love the grazing side of things for our soil health. We do custom grazing. We buy and run stocker cattle. We buy them in the spring and sell them in the fall. And we have dabbled a little bit with other people custom grazing for us as well.
So we also are, like we've been talking about today, the mentorship program. We actually are mentors for other farmers. So we actually help farmers become more profitable in less time. So we have an online membership. It's a community, so people can learn from us what we've learned on our farms, and they can take that and start implementing these things, because that's one of the most valuable resources that we've had, is actually having mentors to talk through some of the things we want to do and try. So we want you to start thinking it's time to start running your farm like a business, because if we're doing it for a hobby, that's fine, but we need to decide, are you going to run it like a business or like a hobby? And we've chosen to run our farm like a business.
So about 5 years ago, we were kind of at an event just like this, and we were already on our soil health journey pretty good. We were into organic and cover crops and such, and we came out of that meeting listening to a bunch of really good speakers. Gabe Brown, Jay Fuhrer, actually Russell Hedrick was there too up in North Dakota. And we just came away and just realized that we want to go for it completely and start incorporating livestock into a lot more of our other practices that we were already doing. And we knew that we needed to start making the mindset shifts to go down this journey. And like they were saying in the other events there, you got to have a thick layer of skin, because you're definitely on your own a lot with these things, and having people to work with and go alongside with it is really important.
So this is the things that we've learned and implemented on our farm. We're not going to tell you how to farm. It's just we want you guys to use this as a learning opportunity. Come at this presentation, it's very out of the box. Come at it with an open mind, because that's what we have done, and that's why we have excelled so much on our farm. So we're going to talk a little bit about profitable mindset. So the mindset and the role that it actually has in successful farming. So I'm going to do a little exercise here. I want you to raise your hand. So have you ever found yourself saying, it's just the busy season on the farm right now, it will get better? Who in here has said that? I'm here to tell you that's a lie. Okay, that's just a mindset that you're telling yourself. It's not true. If you want something, you have to grind and work harder, and then you'll get there faster. Who's found themselves saying that? All right? If I'm not working hard enough and I'm not making enough money on my farm, then I'm not successful. Who else has said that? These are all mindsets that are holding you back, because none of these right here are true. You're just telling yourself that, and that's actually what's holding you back on your farm. So if working harder were the key to success, then everyone would have success. I want you to really read that. If working harder were the key to success, then why isn't everybody in the world successful? Because we're going to teach you why. So what do successful people do differently? They actually think differently. So they have rewired their minds for traits or keys that we have found to running a profitable farm. We started learning the power of adapting. We started becoming more resilient. We're more determined, and we have a growth mindset. We stopped keeping ourselves stuck and feeling we had to work harder or we had to do more things. We changed the way we thought about everything. And success is not an accident, it's a choice. So you all in here have the choice to be successful right now. So I'm going to talk a little bit, I don't know if anybody of you learned about this before, but this is actually what is called the belief cycle. So we start here with our beliefs. Your beliefs directly affect your productivity. So if you have a limiting belief like I don't have enough time, you're going to have a low productivity as far as output. So your productivity directly correlates to your actions, what actions you'll actually be implementing, and they directly affect your results that you're going to see. Your results reinforce your beliefs, so it's a never-ending cycle all the time. Every thought that goes through your brain is running through this exact cycle. So if you have a belief like, I do not have enough time to get it all done, how productive are you going to feel? Are you going to have a low productivity level? It's going to make you feel really overwhelmed on your farm. How many times have you said, I cannot get it all done, and you feel really overwhelmed? The actions you're going to take is you won't be able to decide on the next project at hand. You're going to jump from thing to thing, scroll on your phone. I know I'm guilty of that. Or you don't focus on the high-level tasks that you should be doing that's going to propel your farm forward. The results that you'll see, you're not going to be making the money you want to make. You're not going to be getting the things done that you want to. And you're not going to actually see the results that you want on your farm. So we're here to show you how you can shift the model. If you say, instead, I'm in control of how I spend my time, you're going to have a higher productivity level. It's going to actually make you feel self-confident to do the things on your farm that you want to do. The actions you're going to take, you're going to decide ahead of time what you need to do, the next projects you need to work on that are going to start propelling your farm forward. You're going to finish tasks, you're going to move on, and the results you're going to create for yourself is you're going to see the farm that you want. You're going to start getting the results. You're going to start making more money. You're going to actually start scheduling time for yourself and for your family again. Because isn't that what we all farm for? We farm for the lifestyle. We farm to be here for our kids and with our kids. I know that's why we started farming. So in order to do that, we need to start thinking differently. So beliefs that no longer serve our farm, we stopped thinking all of these things. Do they come up once in a while? Sure. But we do not believe we don't have enough time anymore. We don't believe we're not knowledgeable enough because we have the skills and resources to find the knowledge we need. We do not believe that direct marketing is hard. We do not believe that making money is hard. We do not believe that we have to work harder to be successful. We do not believe that we can't take time off, hence why we're here. We do not believe that you can't have hired help on your farm if you want to make money. And we do not believe that we cannot do things on our farm or in our business. Nothing is impossible for us. We are so willing to try anything on our farm.
They were hard things to get over, though, that's for sure.
They were. It is. It's a lot of mindset work, managing your mind, managing your feelings. It's a really different way of looking at things. So we started setting really big goals on our farm. Your roadmap to success starts with clear, big goals. I'm not talking about, oh, I want to make a few extra dollars. I'm talking, I want you to start dreaming big. Like, I want to make $1 million next year. Big, big, big. So, have you ever tried goal setting on your farm or in your life? And do you set goals and maybe never achieve them? Or do you set what's called SMART goals that society tells us to set? Research has shown that people who actually write down their goals are 42% more likely to achieve them than those that don't. So without goals and a plan to reach them, you're like a ship that sets sail with no destination. So we stopped setting smart, safe goals because they don't work. We started visioning on our farm that nothing was impossible, and we started achieving things that we never thought were possible. 5 years ago, I would have never dreamt to be where we are at on our farm with 7 kids later and all that we've chosen to do and been able to do. It's some pretty cool things. So we started dreaming just like your 5-year-old kid does. Imagine how a 5-year-old dreams. They want to be Batman, they want to be a police officer, a fireman, all at one time. You just can picture a little kid running around the house wanting to be all these things. We started taking on that mindset more often.
being appreciative of where you're at right now helps get you to where you want to be later on too, picturing your goal, envisioning where you want to be, but being thankful and feeling blessed where you're at. We're all where we're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. So that's how we started setting goals on our farm. One other thing that we created, Jordan and I, we just kind of started doing this, and it's evolved over time, is we actually have what's called our morning meeting. So Jordan's up milking cows at 3 o'clock in the morning. I go up and help some mornings. And if I'm not up there, then we're on our phones with each other. It's not always a good thing, but it's, hey, what are your plans for today? And then I tell him what my plans are for today. What do we need help with? And then we talk about our big vision. Is that vision changing?
What steps today are we going to take to make sure we're heading towards our goals and dreams? And if you do that on a daily basis with whoever you're working with on a daily basis, you're both on the same page and you propel yourself to meet the goals a lot faster.
And it helps stay in alignment too. Jordan might have a few other visions or dreams or aspects that he wants to work on, and so will I, but we both know that we can't work on them at the same time because otherwise we're going to be going against each other. So what is alignment right now might not be in alignment in a few months, so let's pick and choose, and that's how us together as a couple have been able to do all these things on our farms together with our family. And one thing we started believing is that we're successful right now. So I want you, everybody in here, to start believing you're actually successful right now. You don't have to wait until your farm is big enough or is making enough money, because if you would have asked me that however many years ago when we started with just a few cows and a few acres, if I wouldn't have believed that I was successful making those little bits of progress on just them couple acres, we wouldn't still be here. So appreciate, like Jordan said, where you're at.
The reason success feels hard, a life-changing message. Think about where you're at on your farm right now and what goals you want to achieve.
So actually, I want all you guys to actually vision. I want you guys to picture that huge, huge, huge goal that you don't think is possible. So do you actually look at your goals and think, I should have achieved that already? Or think things like you look at your neighbor and like, oh, they're more successful than I am? Because what's keeping you stuck is the shoulds. That's what's keeping you stuck. I should be doing this. I should be doing more. Oh, I should have done it this way. That's what's keeping you stuck on your farms. And you're always blaming yourself for not being there. Either you think, I should have worked on my, on the business side, I should have done my taxes today instead of spending time with my family. Or you spend time with your family and then you feel guilty you're not out in the field harvesting. Quit making yourself feel guilty, because then you're not present anyways. So making the most of the time that you have. So the reason that success is hard to achieve is because it's the fear. Fear is what's holding you back from setting and pursuing new goals. It's not actually the goals that you're afraid of, it's the fear of failing. It's the fear of repeating your past all over again. You're afraid of setting ambitious goals because you might fail, or your neighbor might see you fail. But I'm here to tell you success does not have to be hard. So I want you to stop thinking, I'll be happy when. I'll be happy when I have enough money. I'll be happy when I achieve this goal. I'll be happy when I have more time. I'll be happy when I have the perfect farm. I want you guys to all start believing that right now, because that's what's going to get your farm to success faster without having to work so hard.
Fear and faith requires that you believe in something unseen. It gives you the hope and the faith that you're going to get to where you want to be. And when you're thinking of just fear, you're always fearing that you're not going to make it. You're doubting yourself and putting that negative thought in your head. And just having the faith and having, for us, God to lean on, that's been a really big part of our life. And then, like it says there, one of which is listening to your head, and the other thing's listening to your heart. And you can see big results.
The real power is here. Like, you get to decide. You get to decide if you want to listen to God and let him guide how you're managing your farm and yourself and your life, or you can listen to fear, which is going to keep you stuck right where you're at. So the key to achieving goals is to start practicing being happy right now. Start listening to your heart. Start letting faith guide your decisions. I want you to think about yourself. That huge goal that I just told you a few minutes ago, I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to picture, what does your farm look like? What do you look like? What does it look like around you? Is it a crop farm where you've integrated, cover crops all over? Or did you turn all of your farms to grass? What's different about your business? Are you actually taking the time to work on your business, not just working in the business? What does your family look like? Are they there with you? Do you have team members there with you helping you along the way? What things are different? What things are different about yourself? Are you more confident? Or is decision making easier? I want you to write down what that dream farm looks like, because this is the roadmap how you guys are going to get there. I want you to think of one thing that you need to shift in yourself and one thing that you could do right now to get you one step closer to that dream.
If nothing changes, nothing changes. Kinda, sorta, ish can only get you kinda, sorta, ish results. If we're not willing to change, then why should we expect different results? It's a reminder for our lives to evolve. We must be willing to embrace change. Change is the only constant thing that ever happens, it seems like, so we got to be willing to adapt and change along with it. What do we need to do differently? Here's your 6 principles of soil health. We've been very conscientious about what we're doing in our operation to put all these practices into play. Know your context. What's your climate? What's your geography, resources and skills and family dynamics that you may have? What are your goals and any other factors that's going to influence you guys and your operation? For us, we live in a driftless region down 10 miles off the Mississippi River, so we have a lot of bluffs and valleys and gullies, and in this case, this farm here that we rent, there is 300 acres of woods that just got completely logged off, and it was pretty much barren desert. There was a tree here and there every 50 feet, and just wide open, and brush just started erupting, and we took advantage of that and decided to get in the goat business because we had just a huge opportunity there, and we were planning to change with it. The woods resource that we have is just exponential. We have acres and acres and acres. We have the 400 nanny goats in our goat herd, and we haven't even touched just a fraction of them acres. It's unbelievable. Cattle, we ended up transitioning a lot of our productive cropland into grassland. We were doing organic row crops and started getting into the organic no-till and stuff like that, and then nature had a different route for us. We started seeing a lot of the perennial grasses come in all on their own, and we ended up just kind of letting them go and just kept on grazing and transitioned the acres that way. And like the goats, I said, the goats are a huge tool to turn undesired plants into dollars for us and turn a lot of negatives into positives. Why spend the money and go out there and with a bush hog when you can capitalize on it with goats and turn it into some goat meat? Minimize soil disturbance. The picture on the left is one of our chopped off cornfields. We went in there and put rye on it afterwards. That's been a really key part for us, and spreading manure on a living root and a growing plant is a lot better than spreading on bare ground. We're going to capture a lot more nutrients that way and reduce erosion and everything else. It allows us to use less chemicals, don't have to do a couple different herbicide passes. And then looking at the woods right there, that's a picture of our 2-wire polywire fence that we run through the brush and everything, and that's what keeps our goats in, and we use goats to clear the brush instead of going in there mechanically with a bush hog and skid steer and have a lot more exposed black soil, and you're able to grow a lot more biodiversity that way. Armor the soil, that's the key component to building biology. If we gotta get the soil covered so we can build a home for them to live in. If we don't have a home for them to live in, we're going to be pretty barren out there. So what type of style and management do we need for every paddock or field? Being observant is really key. Going into the paddock, is there not enough of a thatch layer there? Maybe we should wait a little longer and let the plants get more mature to graze this off and trample it a little bit more. Just being observant is really important for figuring out what does the biology need for that situation. And like the example on the bottom there, you achieve a higher degree of trampling and you get more soil armor by managing higher stock densities and more frequent moves. Increasing biodiversity with livestock and plants and wildlife. The more diversity, the more balance, the healthier the livestock and plants equals more resilience. And you're able to support a more broader ecosystem. An ecosystem with higher diversity is more able to support life. Heard somewhere that for every different species that you have, you're able to support 7 different ones. And opportunities to create more diversity are everywhere. Just got to be willing to look and see what we can do differently to provide the habitat for them.
And we found that incorporating all of this livestock on our farm has definitely given us the greatest results. And we not only want to see the livestock diversity, so we're doing pastured pork, pastured poultry, we do beef, goats, we have the dairy as well, but also the changes in the diversity, the wildlife that we have seen. We're seeing new birds that we've never seen on our farms all the time. And once you can start realizing that your farm is a little mini ecosystem and how much life it can have and how much easier it is to manage things this way, it starts to really impact a lot of decisions that you're going to make going forward.
Through the grazing, we're seeing a lot more different plants, and the more different plants you have out there, you're supporting a lot more wildlife. Like we've seen different meadowlarks and more pheasants, and the list goes on and on. And then maintaining a continuous living root. Green plants equal photosynthesis. And the longer we can keep green growing plants out there, the more we can feed the biology that's below. And the more we can feed the biology that's below, the more productive our grasses can be. Maintaining a living root is essential for the biological system. That's really our main focus all the time. And by focusing on that, we're able to be more profitable, feeding the soil biology first, and they will take care of everything else above them. Integrating livestock. They're the nutrient cyclers, so we can grow all of these different plants and everything. And as you've seen in Russell Hedrick's presentation of all the different nutrients that these plants can have, the TDN test that they show, running them through an animal like that just speeds up the process a whole lot faster. And then by using these cattle in this field here, this one here, we were transitioning some conventional land into organic at that time, and running them nice biodiverse cover crop mixes and trampling it down and creating a better home for the biology. We're able to increase our soil health exponentially.
And I would add too, not only are we cycling more nutrients through our soil, but I can guarantee that this beef and this chicken is a lot more healthier than what you're going to find in a grocery store. So we're creating, this is an exponential growth that we're seeing when we're integrating really healthy soils. We're creating a lot healthier plants for our animals to eat and a lot healthier meat. And I know that since we've switched our diet to regeneratively raised things, that we are healthier.
All right, so here's an example of kind of what we were doing in part of our journey. So the picture on the left is one of our soybean fields when we were organic, and it's obviously a failed field. We had a bunch of giant foxtail in there and some common ragweed, and you name it, it was in there pretty much. So we ended up capitalizing on that with our stocker cattle and went in there with higher densities and trampled it all down and utilized a lot of it, and it put good gains on our cattle too. And the very next year in that soil is what you see right here on the right. I had a video showing it too, and it was awesome, but we couldn't get it to load in there right. But yeah, it's amazing what a little bit of management does for the soil, like over here.
And this over here is not seeded. We did not seed anything that you see.
Yeah, this is what turned into the effects of after that, the 1 year later. But yeah, we got the red clover, we got white clover, Timothy. It was all out there. It was pretty cool to see. Yeah, so there was, on that farm that we run there, the 200 acres of open for that farm, it's none of it we seeded, and we were able to just go right in there and just start grazing it. It's pretty cool. That's what gets you excited and keep you moving forward. Profitability in grazing enterprises. And we found that grazing is the fastest path to soil health with the most impact. It's just so much easier to incorporate the 6 soil health principles with grazing. You know, minimizing disturbance, leaving the soil covered and having a living root out there all the time. That, that's easy to do with grass. And if you need to have a little bit more armor, well, let it get more mature and come in there and trample it with cattle. It's just really easy to do with livestock, and with the right mentality and management behind it, you can see awesome, awesome results. And yeah, you're able to store more carbon, more organic matter, the biodiversity we talked about. You're able to have a lot better water retention. There's a pasture that we had at home, when we were a couple of years in only, and we were able to infiltrate an inch of rain in 28 seconds. Like, that stuff just gets you so excited to keep moving forward. The improved fertility, and you reduce inputs. We don't do anything with our pastures. We just run livestock over them. And resilience to climate change, and you just have a nutrient-dense food and so many more things. So, and then this three-legged stool is kind of something that we've always talked about. And so one leg there, you got the profitability, and then you got your soil health leg, and then you got your quality of life leg, and then we're sitting on top. So if we're going to be focusing too much on the profitability side, are we extracting too much carbon off our fields? Are we going to be lacking in the soil health department then, because we're trying to take instead of putting it back, And then our quality of life, are we trying to be more profitable and we're working our rear ends off trying to, do the extra things, and then them are all balanced off. And so if you get one of them out of whack, we're going to fall off the top. So that's kind of one thing that we've been always looking at in our business to make sure we're kind of balanced in what we're doing.
Yeah, we try to keep this three-legged stool as balanced as we can, because if we fall off the top, it's not good. And we found that we can input anything onto this three-legged stool, and as long as we're staying level at the top, we're going to get the results that we actually want while still maintaining everything we want.
This is, two pictures of the farm here, I guess. It's a big continuous L, so that's the bottom of it there, and then it goes up and then over. So
this farm runs like a mile north and west, or north and south?
Mile north and south, and pretty much a mile west and east, pretty much. So that's kind of a
it's
little bit of our
L.
context that we're trying to show here. Yeah, grazing and water lines and everything that we're about to show you. So this is a picture of our other farm here that we run. So it's really steep. I wish we would have had a contour picture here, but yeah, that's just more of our context.
And this is a 100-acre farm that we turned into 100% perennial pasture.
First, you farm the biology and the soil so you can be more profitable at livestock farming. That's kind of what we've been seeing. That's our kids really all excited about earthworms and stuff like that. So, soil health principles. Are you implementing the soil health principles to the best of your ability on your farm and building a house for them? What are we doing to the house of our biology? Are we making more of a house for them? Are we keeping everything covered? Are we keeping something growing out there all the time? They got to eat just as much as the livestock do that are above ground. Observation. What's your resource concern? We move our cattle daily, or sometimes even twice a day, depending on the situation, maybe even more. What do you need out in that next paddock for the soil biology? Does it need more carbon? Does it need more coverage of the soil? Do you see a lot of bare soil out there? What does it need for the biology to thrive? Do we need to put more in our pocketbook? Do we need to graze a little bit more for ourselves? That's part of the three-legged stool. Do we have enough stored feed? How much do we have? How much time do we have? What do we want to go? How far do we want to go with these cattle? How long do we want to graze them for? When you're doing adaptive grazing and stuff, you can kind of gauge and plan where you need to be with everything, and then you're able to make decisions accounting on that. So being adaptive and being observant of what you have and what you're able to work with is really key to being successful.
I will say observing is probably the number one skill that you need to learn to have a profitable grazing business and a farm in general. You have to be willing to observe and question that observation and question it again and maybe observe again.
How are the cattle doing? What does their manure look like? What's the performance on them? Are they gaining really good for you? Those are all things we need to be looking at.
So looking at 2023, and after we observed what we are looking for on our farm specifically for this year, so we looked at what are our goals. So we knew that we wanted to reduce labor. We knew that we wanted to increase our rest periods. We knew we needed a higher stocking density. Our goal was to increase all the diversity on our farms because a lot of those farms just self-seeded. We wanted to increase our profitability, and we knew we needed to add in water line to address some resource concerns that we had. So we had to ask ourselves how. How are we going to achieve all this and still deposit into our soil health bank account and our own bank account? And how can we do all the things we want to do while still maintaining that three-legged stool?
Action plan, we want to reduce our labor. You know, we have 7 kids. We want to be able to spend time with them little guys too. So we combined our herds, and it gave us a bigger engine, bigger soil health engine basically to reach our goals. We're able to get more trample effect, and we're able to reduce labor by doing that and better quality of life. And then we're able to actually increase our rest periods, which over this last year was a huge thing for us because we were very, very dry. We were in D4 drought, and by combining the herds, we were able to extend our rest periods out far enough where we were able to have a totally rested plant before we returned to every paddock. And
yeah. So when everybody else talks about doing the Haney test, yes, we find value in that, but honestly, we don't do much soil health testing on our farm. We do it through observing. So we could observe that last year in 2022, we only had a 45 to 50 day rest period. This year we had a 60 to 80 day rest period in a D4 drought, and we were able to carry more animal units on our farm.
Jim Garish kind of talks about how many different grazings you can get, or how many grazing events you can get on your farm based on your rainfall per year. And he says that every 10 inches of rain can give you a grazing event. Well, we're at 36 inches usually average precip per year. So we're kind of in that ballpark. But this year, since we were so dry, we only went over ours twice.
Well,
which is
right now with the goats.
But yeah, now since we got rain in the fall again, we're actually still grazing with our goats. But planning to adapt and change to the conditions and things you have is very, very.
So back to those soil health tests that I want to talk about. Yes, they're important, but what else are you observing on your farm? Even though those soil health tests might not correlate year to year exactly the results that you're seeing. So are we being observant of what else we're seeing? More life, more forage availability? Can you create, are you carrying more animals? So I want you guys to start looking at bigger picture besides just soil tests, soil numbers, yields. Look at other bigger pictures on your farm.
And then if you want to do a better job of management and have the better, higher stock densities and everything, maybe bat latches are something for you to look into if you're going to be gone at your day job or, doing all this or that. Some of those tools are able to help us out to reach our goals. Then our action plan is increase all diversity. Longer rest periods allow different species of plants to show up. We see a lot of different native forbs pop up out in our pasture, and just being observant and seeing all those different things happening is pretty cool to see. I guess that's our soil health test, is being able to see how many different things are changing, and are they changing for the good or for the worse. Decreased labor costs added to our soil health bank with the animal impact. We ran 50 more animal units this year versus last year with the D4 drought, which is pretty huge. But one thing to definitely observe with longer rest periods and combining herds and stuff like that is watch your animal performance and stuff. And then water line. The cattle were using ponds on our one farm for the first couple of years of grazing it, and yeah, we've seen tremendous improvements with our grazing abilities by having water points in more locations and getting a better trample and better utilization and more fertility dispersal, and you're able to maximize your resource by having water where you need it.
So we knew that the water line would not only address the resource concern of not having water access back on that farm, but we knew we were going to increase profits by being able to better utilize our grass. We knew we were going to be able to grow more grass. We also knew that it was going to save on labor costs because the time it takes to fence around ponds and make sure our cattle weren't getting into the ponds and stuff and ruining them. So we were going to increase our profitability, our productivity, and quality of life. It was way easier for me and the kids to go out and have to move a water tank than have to worry about fencing around a pond and not having the fence hot enough. So it was not only going to address the resource concern, but many other things on our farm. So we always look at how is this going to benefit us, not in this one way, but other ways?
So review your year. What worked? What didn't work? And what do you plan on doing differently? I know for us, we pretty much change our plan every year. We always plan to adapt because the only constant in farming is change.
And that's why we have our morning meeting, because we get to hash it out, we get to disagree a little bit, and just keep moving forward.
Talk a little bit about our custom grazing. It's a lot lower risk than doing stock or cattle. You're guaranteed profit if you know your true costs. Flexible with your time, your soil health goals, grazing days, and stocking rate. So like if you run into the drought, you're able to just call up the owner and say, yeah, I'm out of grass, you're gonna have to come get your cattle. Or, it's just having that flexibility allows someone to sleep more at night too. You don't have to worry about prices or anything like that either.
And that's what's nice about having the custom grazing enterprise along with like a cow-calf enterprise. You can utilize that cow-calf enterprise and maybe raising 10, 20, 30 beef a year to sell direct to consumer, but not have to carry all those animals over winter like we would have to. So the costs of having to have store feed for more animals than we'd want to, because we have more acres than only being able to direct market 20 to 30 beef. So that's why we chose specifically custom grazing.
Profitable grazing with goats. Goats have the ability to turn negatives into positives. I could about guarantee every one of us in this room has somewhere on their farm that is a little bit overgrown with brush, or a certain field is notoriously known for weeds that we're not using, and it could use better management, and we could turn that around with goats and add more fertility to it and turn some of those negative things that we think are negative and actually turning them into something positive. Yeah, the picture on the right there is our landlord of the farm where we had the 300 acres of woods logged off, and this is a cattle farm, he says. Now we're surrounded with goats. He's just tickled pink, but he's like, now I know why we need goats or whatever. So he's...
And so this is the power. If an 84-year-old guy can see the power of regenerative farming and what we're doing and actually believe it, I think anybody can do it.
I've never been able to see through them woods like that in my whole life. It's just a bunch of solid brush, and the goats, they just have it looking like a park. It's pretty cool. Goats and brush management. Like I said, this rented farm here was logged, and the brush just completely erupted, and we have steep hills on this farm that you can hardly walk up without falling over, and rocky. And the cattle, there's certain times that we can incorporate them in the woods, but you really need to be careful about it. Like this last year when we were really dry, we were able to take advantage of that with the cattle, but on a normal year, they go in there and they can just totally destroy it in a hurry. Where goats, they fit in it pretty nice. Their impact on the steep hills and stuff is nothing like that with a 1,000-pound heifer or whatever going through there. And the woods, we don't have to pay rent for it. That's a pretty cool deal when you can run another enterprise on some free land, right? You're able to control invasive species and turn that into a profit. Increase your pasture production for other species due to nutrient cycling abilities. We've seen in many times with these goats, we graze them and they'll go down in the woods during the day, and then they'll come back out into the open field, and they all like to bed at the top of the hill at nighttime. And when they do that, they're all tight together in a big mob, and then they lay all their fertility down there when they wake up in the morning to go on with their business. And the next year you'll see grass out there that's this much taller in them spots, and it's pretty neat to see. And then just them hauling the different types of biology from the woods up to the fields is pretty cool too. So this picture right here on the left, that's a multiflora rose bush that they totally stripped and took all the thorns and leaves and everything off of it. The picture on the right is a goat eating common ragweed. It's pretty hard to get cattle to eat the common ragweed even under really high stocking densities. You might be able to get them to trample it a little bit or whatever, but goats, they can actually utilize all of that stuff. It's pretty cool to watch. They love the weeds, or forbs. So, one herd with 4 enterprises. Talk about profit. For the goats, we got the leasing program, so we were able to lease out a little over 200 head of goats this year, and we were getting paid per head per day for them to use our goats to go work on these other projects and stuff. So literally they came to our farm, loaded them up and hauled them away, and they were under their management the whole summer. We didn't even have to look at them. Obviously we still had plenty of goats for ourselves to work with and deal with getting out and all that. But yeah, it's a huge benefit for the grazer, lower risk, no overhead, no winter feed costs if the person wants to lease goats like that. And then, the person that maybe doesn't want to own the goats, they can get the exact number of goats for the job that they want to do for their grazing project for the summertime. Brush management, people do contract grazing jobs on private and public lands. And increase the soil health and profits on our farm. We've seen major productivity from our pasture grounds where our cattle graze by using goats on there. For the genetic side of it, we run 100% Spanish, and we manage them the way we want them to be. So we had a lot of fallout right away, and it's very hard to weather the storm right away, but it's well worth it in the end, just not having to put the dewormer into them and the hoof trimming and all the other foot scald and the many, many problems that goats can have.
Yeah, so we believe that if a goat can't make it in our system without us touching them, unless we're hauling them to another farm, that they don't belong here.
Like we were used to running cattle before goats, and cattle, you can put them things out in the middle of an open field and graze them all the way to February, and we want to be able to do that with our goats, so that's what we've been really focused hard on.
And the last enterprise is meat. So some of our goats go to the sales barn. We do direct market some of our meat. We haven't really jumped into a lot of that, but so those are the 4 enterprises that we get with just one herd of goats.
Back to the mindset kind of stuff here.
Yeah, so I just really want to ask you all, what emotions come up when you actually think about money? Is it fear? Are you afraid that you're not going to have enough money? Or do you think that money is hard to earn? We're told when we're a kid, you don't talk about money. That's what a lot of people say. You don't talk about your money situation to everybody else. And who told you that? Who are you actually getting your money advice from? We talk about all these mentors. Who are you actually getting your advice from your farms? We want to surround ourselves with people that we strive to be like. If you want success, you need a healthy relationship with money. So this is how most of us operate. Most of society operates in the have, do, be cycle. It's the piece that most people are missing. They operate in, when I have more time, then I'll take the time to learn how to manage my farm business or make more money on my farm to be more successful. So you're listening to fear instead of faith. You're listening to your head, which is the scarcity mindset, not your heart, which is an abundant mindset. You're not following faith. So we actually learned how to flip the model. We started operating in the be, do, have. And this is how most successful people operate. Who do I have to become? So I have to become successful. So what do I need to do? So I need to start investing in my business. I need to start outsourcing tasks that I can't do. I need to start hiring help to have the results that I want. Is it to quit my off-farm job? Or is it to be more profitable on my farm? We need to start operating in the be, do, have. Start with the end in mind. What do I want to have? Who do I have to be? So money is never the problem. It's actually the lack of your resourcefulness to fix the problem. So changing your life is never a matter of how much money you have. It's a matter of how much you want your life to actually change. So here are some more mindsets we actually shifted on our farm. We started thinking in terms of investment versus expense. We value our time more than we value our money. We make decisions based on the future we want versus the present we have. So I want you to write a letter to money. I want you to imagine that money were an actual person and they were your friend. How would you describe that relationship? Are you desperate, clingy? Do you think, if I go on vacation and spend a little money might not come back? Are you afraid to, pay the guy next to you to help you do a little bit of work? Do you talk crap about money behind its back? I want you to actually think, how do you treat money? How do you develop an actual deep relationship with somebody? You appreciate them. You know that if you're going to spend a few dollars to your friend or neighbor over here to help you with some work, it's going to come back to you in the end. So I want you to write a letter to money. Get all your feelings out there. Tell you how you really feel about money. And then I want you to look at that letter and think, if money was an actual person and had feelings, how would you feel? Would you want to cash flow? Would you want to flow back? Would you want to cycle around? Or would you say, see you later? So what new beliefs about time and money do you need to start implementing on your farms to actually succeed faster? Because I'm here to tell you that there are 1,700 new millionaires created every single day. How is that possible if money is a scarce resource? So start thinking about things on your farm, using these opportunities as growth and learning instead of holding yourself back. So your action plan from today. I want you to identify one belief that's holding you back in your business. Start setting huge goals. Nothing is impossible. I want you to pick one and just go for it. Don't ask yourself why, how. Call somebody up and ask them. Just go for it. And then what we've talked about today, pick 2 to 3 friends to keep you accountable for making improvements on your farm. Who are you spending your time with and talking with? Because your network is your net worth. And if you don't have a network, that's what we're here for. That's what everybody in this room's for. So start networking, because that's why we're all here.